Alright, so in this video, I just want to warn every one of you here, if you're already a buyer for Skye at Holland, then perhaps seriously, you may want to skip this video. Okay, really don't watch this video because you likely will not like what I'm going to share with you. And there may be arrows flying around in my comment section. So do yourself a favor. If you're already a buyer in Skye Holland, skip this video totally, and you can follow me in other videos that I'll be also doing. But at the same time, if you are looking to purchase a new launch in the coming weeks, which we have quite a few that's coming up, and you are going through the balloting, or you intend to go through the balloting, and you want some help without all the FOMO, all the hype that is going on, all the guessing work, and then this video will potentially help you to actually decide how you should be navigating through your selection process and how you can be over preparing yourself for that day of the selection. All right, so today, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Coach Edmund, and I'm actually here to help you in terms of a property journey. And follow my channel so you can actually learn more about how property should be done without blind balloting, without guessing yourself into the market. And most importantly is how can you use data, numbers, and facts to actually help you make a better informed decision. So you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, and perhaps share it with some friends who are also in the midst of scratching their head and their hair, like what should I be doing. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to kind of uncover what is going to what had happened for Skye at Holland because they had such a fantastic sale, right? And I'm sure many of you have been waking up and then seeing every medium that is out there talking about 99% of Skye at Holland being sold at an average about $2,953 per square foot. All right, so this is the thing that's happening. So if we break it down to the details, right? So that's why in this video, I'm going to kind of uncover what actually goes behind the scene on the 2 days of course, one is the VIP day and the other one is the public day. And we want to kind of dive into the numbers later on, very specifically to share with you between Skye at Holland. Everybody is talking about how low price the land is, and that's why they are able to sell it cheap. But is it really that cheap in comparison? And did the buyers for Skye at Holland, that 99% of them actually make a sound decision before purchasing? All right, so we're going to go behind the scene, and if you can see, it is already almost fully sold. And right now, the balance unit as of today, only the 2-bedroom are available, as well as the 5-bedroom 4 units. Okay, so it is actually very important to do something that is important for you prior to your purchase usually, because if you are not doing some of all this research and comparison, you might be putting yourself in a very dangerous position on what I call blind buying. Okay, you'll be blind buying it on the day of the pleasure. And so later on, stay tuned all the way to the end, because I'm going to draw the curtain back to share with you what are some of the pre-preparation we do and on the actual day itself. And I hope that this video can also help you to kind of pre-prepare yourself, overly prepare yourself for future purchases, so you will avoid all the FOMO, all the mad rush that's going on, and blind balloting yourself that you could have went through before, or perhaps even in Skye Holland, you also just went through this blind balloting. So I think more importantly is also later on, I'll be sharing with you, there are particularly 2 types of properties in Skye Holland. One is they actually make a right choice of the purchase, and the other one, I won't say it's the wrong choice, but it's not such a good choice in today's marketplace. So you want to kind of stay true all the way to the end. And besides this, right now, of course, I believe many of you are also aware that there are such upcoming various new launches coming up. So this is actually the entire timeline. Skye at Holland is really over, so no need to take a look. And the next one we have is Penrith and Faber Residence together, and followed by Zion Grand, which is the following week. So if today, why you want to actually continue watching this video is because the details I'm going to share with you, you could be missing out in your selection process all the while. But you have been just going ballot after ballot, trying your luck to get a good ballot number. But I believe there's a lot of pre-preparation that you can do ahead. And so the question I want to throw to every one of you here is, based on the upcoming launches, do you all think the results of the sale, will it also match Skye Holland at 99%? Okay, if you all can comment, all right, comment inside the comment section so that just give your projection, give your guess, all right. Let's see who actually has a closer percentage to the launching numbers, right? Yeah, and how many of you would like to do maybe a live interaction? Maybe we can do a live interaction video in this channel, right? That we can kind of guess what are the percentage of the sale for each of the launches. If we all actually like that to happen, maybe y'all can just comment live, and we can actually set one day and I can come in live with every one of you, and we can do some interaction. And that's where we can also kind of understand why some of us think that the project may not sell as well. Some of us would think that the project can sell more, and what are the reasons. All right. So I also have previously done a comparison, especially for Penrith as well as for Zion next. So if you are kind of looking into some of this breakdown, I'm not going to cover this too much. You can actually check out one of the other video somewhere at the corner. All right, I've done a more detailed comparison for some of all these projects in terms of unit size. So the question I want to ask every one of you all here is, right, do you all find that, are there any logic behind this crazy sales actually? Was it FOMO? Was it driven by real demand? Is this project really make sense or not? Or it's just a cloud of all the hype that's going on from marketing, and every one of us who purchase this property is just wishful thinking? All right, so it depends on whether you are sitting on the fence of the one on the sidelines, or meaning unfortunately you want to buy but your queue number is not so good, so you end up not purchasing. And then of course there's the other camp who got the unit because of the queue number that is great. So I will actually share with you what makes sense for Skye Holland, and potentially there's one type of purchase in Skye that actually, if you ask me from a data research, they don't really make sense. Okay, and I'm going to give you this information in this video. So again, if you are a purchaser for Skye Holland, skip this video please. All right, you already purchased, so let's not have nightmare over it. And because of this type of project, this one type of purchase, right, I believe perhaps buyers they buy due to pressure, due to that there was a lot of conversation about like the unit is very sought after, the prices are very low, that kind of situation. Yeah, so yeah, so that's why when you watch later on, you must also understand that some of all these things I put out is kind of to let you prevent yourself from making those kind of mistakes. If not, you'll be falling into the trap, and it's very dangerous. So I will share with you why and what are the research that we have done at certain price point that we will accept it, or we will just walk away, and perhaps you should also do all this research. Okay, so this is something that we need to be a little bit more careful about. So if any one of you are still, due to whatever reason, queue number no good, or you have been waiting for the other future launches, then these are the upcoming ones. The next one will be Penrith and Faber. These are the estimated prices that we have done to give you an idea. So let's go behind the scene and understand the buyers actually made mistakes in Skye Holland for this 99% of it. So safe to say, not every one of them did make mistake. Okay, later on through the video, you will see some of this research that we have done, so that it's easier for you to take a look. All right. So one thing that I will be sharing with you are the 2 and the 3 bedroom. Okay, 2 and 3 bedroom, and there's only one winner bedroom type here. And based on prices, so we'll go very deep into prices, bidding floor levels, and I will step back and then determine which one do you all think is the winner. Comment below, right? Between 2 and 3 bedroom, the buyers who bought a 2 bedroom and the buyers who bought a 3 bedroom, who actually will emerge the winner based on the purchase for Skye Holland. All right. So I will actually also be doing another video next, which is on Zion Grand. Okay, so we're going to use the pricing from Skye Holland to kind of use it to estimate and project. Of course, it's still an estimation to project how will Zion prices or even Penrith prices going to be. And then from there, we will determine what is the benchmark that we can use. Especially if, let's say, some of you are actually going into Zion or have the intention to go into Zion, you may want to also kind of study this a little bit more, so we can actually help you with the details, and you can actually scan the QR code, you know, and then the details we will be able to help you with, and we will be also able to help you do a comparison of the numbers and see whether the prices is it up to what you are looking at. All right, so that's what we will be doing also for Zion Grand, since now Skye and Holland prices are out. Or of course, if you are intending to go for Zion Grand, don't put in your interest. Don't do it yet until you watch the next video, or you can just reach out to us through the QR code so that we can kind of guide you through on a one-on-one basis immediately. All right. So was it the FOMO or was it a gamble for the buyers in Skye Holland? Okay, so there's a few things that you all must take note. So during this kind of period, and we have seen this happen before during the EOK days, or even Ori and Elta, all these park town situations where multiple launches are happening at the same time, right? That is why Skye Holland, they got out almost 2,100 plus checks collected. So 2,100 plus checks, then a lot of people will be priced out, or maybe their queue number is all the way at the back, because there's a lot of them who will put checks in all the different launches. So maybe you have put in for Penrith as well, Zion Grand, or even Faber Residence, and then you just try to see which one comes first. So this is the first madness I see. All right, the second madness is actually there will be a lot of people who actually put in the check, but actually no intention to buy one. So I also don't know what is their thought process. And the third one is they put a check, they get a good queue number, and at the end, they also never buy. So sometimes I also think through why are they actually doing it? Was it because the agent was pushing them to just go for it, or are they getting the checks just for numbers purposes? Sometimes I also don't get it, but I always share, I think I shared this many times in my previous video also, like today, if you're going for this kind of environment where balloting is done, you do need to want to do more homework to make sure that which is the project that you should ultimately go for, and not just go for launches after launches. I think that is a waste of your time, and a lot of your resources are being wasted, and you may walk away feeling very rejected because you cannot get a unit. All right. So these are some of the common things that we generally see, right? That why buyers fall into this tree madness. And Skye at Holland, and during this period, I believe there will also be this madness going on, which is why it's very important for us to be a little bit more careful. So a lot of them, they're unclear of what is actually, what do they want, okay, out of the chase. Or maybe they are just seeing whether they are lucky enough to get a ballot. And that's why sometimes when they even get a good ballot number, they did not purchase the unit because they have not done enough preparation. So most of the time, what happens is the emotional trap. All right. Why we don't want you to enter into the emotional trap, because if you have done your sums right and you have done your objective correctly, right, the emotional part is able to be managed. And the last thing you want is if you go into emotional trap, right, and then you fall into buyer remorse after you purchase. All right, so this is something that is, to me, I think can be prevented. But unfortunately, the entire environment of how new launches are like is very pressure cooker, is very rush in some sense. And most people, they were saying, wow, there's so many numbers flying around, and they get confused and they see people buying, they just buy. Okay, this is not buying market. So you need to really have a certain control. And many of the times, even before the actual balloting selection day, we will have already done a lot of homework behind the scene. And this is generally what we go through. Okay, so that's why a lot of our clients, they are mentally prepared. They know what to do. They know what are they prepared for, what is to be coming up, so that you know what is going on, and not just go in and then don't know and confused and very rush and FOMO and then just purchase anything. And many a times we also guided our clients into the walkaway price, meaning today, if a certain project based on the pricing has reached a certain level, does it still make sense for us to still go for it? Okay, and that's why there's a lot of pre-preparation before we even hit down for the selection. All right, the first part of the entire new launch exercise is extremely easy. It's just submitting your documents, all this stuff. But it's after you submit that's where the real work comes in. So if today you are in the market and you have not done any of all this homework, then I really urge you guys to be a little bit more prudent. All right, step back a little bit, slow down a little bit to really do what you need to before you even go in for the selection. All right, because we have seen it again and again. It's going to be crazy. Okay, and I believe the upcoming 2 launches will also be as crazy, and you don't want to end up in the buyer trap and a buyer remorse situation later on. Because what we do beforehand is we will also prepare. Let me just show you some examples, right? We'll prepare very comprehensive numbers and prices to kind of guide you through to know what are the limitations, what are the benchmarking prices that you should go for. So we'll do like charts like this in preparation for the selection. We even prepare like, what's the next unit? If let's say you are looking at a 4-bedroom, what's the next available unit that you should be exploring based on what we have discussed, even based on budget, based on the value price gap, right? How much difference? So we go even into details, like for example, a 7th floor and 8th floor unit. If their jump is by X amount in terms of floor level, is it still worth for us to consider the lower floor or the higher floor versus another stack, another block, another facing? So there's a lot of all these computations that we want to kind of do. And all this is to really help you prepare ahead. You see, like even, so we have like from all the different types of 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, depending on what you need. That's where we will compile all this for you to get ready to go into better. All right. So of course, today I'm going to kind of give you guys a quick overview about like, first of all, is Skye at Holland really as it is from a pricing perspective? Is it really that attractive? And I believe many of you also have gotten out a lot of, whether it's online, anywhere, or even the agents have been talking about, then they will show you a map like this and tell you, oh, now Skye at Holland is at the lowest per square foot per PPR as per compared to the others like Elta, Ori, their pricing wise is so high. So does it still make sense? And you're buying a CCR, so it is a very, I would say, very safe for you to purchase. All right. Which is, if you ask me today, of course, based on Skye at Holland, their land prices is actually lower than the rest. But let us look at the pricing. Did they actually sell lower to you? All right. So this is also something that we have to benchmark ourselves to have that kind of expectation. So let's just think about it. Okay. Today, based on the mass market, okay, mass market prices like Toa Payoh, like Ori. Okay, this is Ori. Ori have already crossed the $3,000 per square foot mark for higher floor units. So I purposely do up the 40 or the high floor, like 40 floor unit. You can see that their per square foot, right, is all above 3,000. Okay, so and this is in the Toa Payoh area. So when you compare that to the core area, right, where Skye at Holland is, right, and they're hovering about 2.8 to even 3.1 per square foot, right, then when you start comparing, then is it worth for me to just spend a little bit more and go into the core area? You see, so these are some of the justification you don't make on the selection. It's always before the selection you come. And what about, let's say we talk about the last few high rise kind of development, Elta. Okay, Elta in Clementi, right, they already crossed what, 2008 per square foot. So same thing, when you compare, Elta is really at 2008, close to even 2008 plus per square foot. Okay, then core areas you're getting 2.8 to even 3.1. Which one is a safer entry? You have to kind of look into the data and numbers to look at it. So at the current moment, for all the CCR new launches today, right, averagely, right, I just pull out some of the younger ones so that we can use that as a benchmark to see. And on average, right, we don't talk about even the maximum price point, right? We're talking about average per square foot, right? You can see they're hovering within 3,000 to even 3,002 plus per square foot. And even some of the resale in the core areas are already commanding at 2,008 to even $3,000 per square foot. So Skye at Holland, from the surface, it seems like, wow, very cheap, very affordable, very attractive, right? And that's why many people don't want to miss this opportunity. And then it further anchor with what? Our future land bid prices. All right, Skye at Holland at 1,285 per square foot per PPR, right? versus the future launches, whether it's River Valley, Green, Bayshore, Dunnian, Chuan Grove, they are all much higher. So this is where the narration in the marketplace is that today, if you miss out on Skye, or maybe even on Penrith or even in Zion, potentially you are going to go into a higher per square foot price point, which means your overall quantum is only going to get bigger and the locations are further away. So there's only one key situation that may happen starting from River Green, right? For them to actually make the pricing more acceptable, then they can only do one thing, which is adjustment of size. Okay, and they have to make it more efficient. So the question is, if today you are in the market, will you want to wait until next year for the rest of the launches to come out? Then you purchase higher in terms of land price. Okay, but again, will the developers have their own strategies to kind of adjust the pricing so that it becomes very acceptable? I believe so. If not, nobody will purchase properties next year already because everybody will buy everything here, ma. So every year there will always be people buying property and selling property. It's just a matter of today, if you have the chance to capture the price point that is cheaper, younger, okay, more attractive, then why not? All right, so this is something that we need to kind of explore ourselves in. So let us really dive into a little bit details. I know this is a little bit small, so let me just draw your attention. All right, so what I did was, before even the selection when we do for our clients, right, we always do some comparison of nearby projects. All right, so OHV, of course, is the youngest, all right, nearby for Skye Holland. So we kind of compare the 2-bedroom first. All right, so I'm going to go through with the 2-bedroom first. That if we can see that back in 2022 to during when they were sold, right, their average pricing during then, the second floor is about 1.96 million. Okay, on average. Then the 14th floor on average is about 2.15 million. So this is the kind of quantum that people had already accepted and purchased. And you can see the overall amount, right? Yeah. So today, if let's say you have bought the prices, let's say for the second floor, you have bought it at 1.96 million. And if you were to sell today, am I right to say that you have to sell minimum maybe about 2.2 million? Just to make maybe about $250,000 from it. Okay, don't count the cost or everything. I'm just talking about gross. Okay. So if today they are going to sell at 2.2 million, you can use this as a benchmark to talk about, hey, today my entry for Skye can keep within 2.2 million. This is just an indicator. Of course, if you can get something even lower, because for Skye, they are 2-bed, 2-bath, 667 square feet, actually started from 1.758 million. And that's about 2,600 plus per square foot only. And if let's say we use the comparison, right, for 4th floor, even a harmonized project right now, okay, for Skye is selling cheaper, ma. And in terms of PSF, it's almost the same, all right, because it's, if you take a look, it's about 2,006 plus per square foot on average. So that means it's the same as how for Skye Holland, but this is 3-4 years ago pricing, which means today you're actually reversing back in time. You're buying a 2.2 million today, but in terms of your value of your property, it's like you're going back 3 to 4 years ago to purchase. Does it make sense? So that's why when we are doing comparison, right, we need to understand what is the price gap between the number of years and the units and the floor level, then the facing, all this comes in. So there's a lot of computation that we always control to give you guys a better clarity before you even purchase. All right. So today, if we compare the OHV smallest 2-bed 2-bath, which is 797 square feet, okay, there's it's almost 200,000 differences. Okay, so later on I'll share with you some layout so that it's easier for you to kind of compare also, you see, and that will give you some indicator on how prices are supposed to be, you see. So one of the key things that let me just draw this attention to you, right? So let's say we talk about this. All right, so if we talk about of course on the left side is the One Holland Village, all right, or right side is Skye Holland. So if you look at even from a layout perspective, right, the configuration for Skye Holland tends to be better because it's already harmonized. That's one. And the price point, you are really getting something way in the last 3 to 4 years. So this is something that when you are doing pricing comparable, you need to justify, first of all, the price gap. You need to justify, first of all, today, if I intend to go for a higher floor unit, you need to pull out the higher floor units to do comparison and not use a high floor and a low floor comparison, because that one will be inaccurate already, you see. So if let's say today we base on an example, so based on the research, right, we have done. So if let's say OHV for the big unit 797, right, later I'll share you with the layout also, the 797, right, you are able to buy a 40th floor for Skye Holland in that sense. All right, so that is why when we are talking about price point, because for 14th floor, okay, for the 14th floor for 797, right, so this is the layout lah. Let me just show you. 797, this is on the 14th floor, is already about 2.145 million. If this one you can buy Skye Holland on the 40th floor, okay, at how much? Actually lower price at 2.08 million. See, and you are the youngest. Okay, you're the youngest. Of course, by the time your property is POP, OHV will be slightly older also. But now you're entering at a earlier pricing, cheaper. So it gives you a certain support in terms of price. So I did speak into one of my videos that I talked about support logic and support pricing. And all these are part of the research and discussion that we need to go through with you, so that it's very clear for you to understand how to actually determine what is a safe price, what is a walk-away price. Okay, and not just go in and say, oh, I just want to get something. You see? Oh, so this is the 797 square feet, right? So if you look at the other layout, right, which is the 829 square feet. All right, so 829 square feet is, of course, one Holland Village. Okay, the layout you can see is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not so good, but there's always a very long kind of entrance. And if you look at the balcony size, it's extremely huge. So these are the small traits that today you must always remember. At the end of the day, all these properties will become a resale. And how are you going to exit? It really largely depending on your price, your layout, and also your facing, especially in a prime location like this. All right, so these are how we look into the comparison. So let me just give you an example, right? Let's say we talk about these two layouts. Okay, you can see, first of all, you have a very long kind of entrance, and it's a what do you call it, island gallery kind of concept, right, for the kitchen. And then if you look at Skye Holland, we have a tuck-in enclosed kitchen, and you have a shorter entrance. So all these are effective because of harmonization. You see, harmonization. So the key thing is that most of the room configuration, the OHV is a normal traditional site layout, whereas for the Skye Holland will be a dumbbell. So this is what we call space efficiency usage. And I particularly have to draw attention, especially to the balcony space. If you can compare, that is why for OHV, even that's why their sizes are bigger, but the livable areas are definitely still smaller. Okay, so this is something you need to be aware of, because OHV, right, for the 32nd floor, right, has already transacted at 2.562 million at about what, 3172 per square foot. Okay, they have already transacted that. And for this kind of pricing, do you know a 6, 7, 8 square feet, how much are you actually getting for? So today, if any one of you have purchased a unit for 2-bedroom, I would like to congratulate you. All right, you have made a very sound decision. I don't know whether is it because you've done all your research, or it's just that because your ballot number is good. So let's take a look at another configuration for the OHV, right, to compare. And this is sort of the same thing, right? So they have this unit where it's the patio configuration, right? So this is a patio configuration. That's why you can see all the PES very big, right? So this is a 2-bed configuration, or 2-bed but extremely big for them in terms of size. So they have already sold for 2.7 million at 2851 per square foot. Of course, it's not non-harmonized, so that's why they have a very huge patio. And if we do the calculation that if let's say today harmonized, we need to add on about 7.5%, that means it should be worth about 2.9 million at time when they purchase. And if we count backwards today, if the property just increased 10% in just 3 years, which means the property value as of today they need to sell have to be at least 3.2 million. Does it make sense? Okay, so then if you look at this 2-bed 2-bath patio configuration, then you start looking and compare to what Skye Holland has. Okay, the difference. So 2-bed 2-bath for the 667 square feet for Skye Holland, it starts from about 1.7 million. Okay, and that's why today, if you look at the price point, right, it's a lot different if you compare because this is 947 square feet, although there's PS. There's PS. And between these two, if today you are able to get the 67 square feet unit, you know there's total 942,000 immediately in terms of the price gap. Okay, because the 14th floor already transacted about, let's say, 2.7 million. So you can actually use the same 2.7 million and go and buy the highest floor level for 667 square feet. You see, and you are going to save money still because it will be about 2.08 million only. So you have a difference about 700,000 even for the 14th floor. So these are comparison that even way before this, when we look at it, that's why we will always have a certain price point to benchmark. Okay, so before you even go into the ballot process, you need to know how to benchmark your prices. What's the price gap? What is the extra premium? Even if you want to pay for, does it still make sense when it crosses even additional 1 or even 2%? So that is where the crucial thinking comes about during the decision. Not just falling into this, because I can pay the monthly mortgage, that $100,000, $200,000 monthly mortgage is not going to make too much of a difference. So that is a very surface way of deciding. But if today we are going in prepared that you know the price point, where is the benchmark, where is the limit that this pricing, the moment where it crosses, it doesn't make sense anymore, would you feel safer to enter into the battlefield? So that's my question to you. All right. So this is something that we constantly do for our clients when we are looking into units. So let me just give you another example. So maybe if let's say you said, oh, I'm not going for the 67. Hey, then does the 732 square feet unit, does it make sense? All right. So at this, the price of OHV, right, you can actually buy a 2+ study for Skye Holland. Of course, the study is here. They tuck it in the master room, which is kind of a very unique approach in terms of layout, because it goes out from the balcony and you can kind of enclose it if you want to. So it's a dual usage study area. Because and I'm using OHV prices to compare with Skye lower floor. Because for Skye lower floor at the 04 floor, right, it's only 1.929 million. Okay, so between the two, there's still 700 over thousand difference gap. So you are already safer by 700,000. Okay, let's just call it 500,000 safer, and you are getting a proper 2-bed plus a study configuration. You see, so that's why today, does it make sense for you to actually just anyhow purchase a property without you going into the numbers clearer? You see, so even their 2-bed plus study configuration is also very different. So let's take a look. Very long entrance. Okay, so Skye also have, but of course Skye, what they did was they did their study here, so it becomes a usable space. You can double it up as a storeroom if you want to, and the rest of the layout it will be quite similar, except again for the balcony space that you save. So every space that you are saving is amount that you can actually utilize it for other purposes. So this is why when we are doing comparison, it's extremely important to kind of study the data, the numbers, the transactions, and surroundings. So I'm going to share with you more numbers. So bear with me. So if you have not subscribed to this channel yet and you kind of like what we have integrated into our research, then you can actually like and subscribe to this channel so that you can continue to support us, and we will continue to do more videos like this to help you out in your selection process. Okay, coming back. All right, so let me show you more of the research that we do way before Skye Holland pricing was out. We also take out specific transactions to kind of do a comparison. So you can see all of them are 797 square feet, which is the big one. And they have already sold for at least 2.1 million to even 2.28 million. And these are all done back in 2023. See, So today, based on Skye Holland at the 40th floor, okay, the 2-bed 2-bath is about 2.08 million to 2.178 million. So because there's already a support of prices that has been transacted before. So for anyone who going in for the higher floor unit for Skye Holland, if you ask me, it's a very extremely great deal because the margin and the support is there with your surrounding, and from a layout perspective, it's not as good, you see. So for today, for this one, you can also see that even the lower floor unit, the 06 and the 09 floor unit for the big, they're also transacting at least 2.15 million at least 2.15 million average With this kind of pricing, will you go for Skye Holland on the higher floor, or would you just keep as it is and say I want to buy a low floor? So that's the reason why for Skye Holland, a lot of the higher floor units are snapped up very quickly throughout the entire day, because there is a certain understanding about how the prices. So even when we are guiding our clients in, we are very specific to know how we can actually command advantage later on when we are selling. So today, whatever you're buying, always remember, yes, price point, sensitivity, all this is definitely doable, but you do need to have a strategy to exit. All right, what will make your property attractive later on when it becomes a resale? It's not just about the price anymore. It's also about the attributes of your property. You know, how you can actually enhance the criteria and the attributes of your property to sell it to people who really wants it. All right. So in this location, you cannot just buy anything and just hope for the best, because you're in competition with a lot of better layout properties, maybe even better facing or even better price property. So you need to be extremely careful in an area where there's also a lot of different supply going on. All right. So coming back to this, right? So let's just take a look, right? So we also did a comparison with Awell Hill. So Awell Hill, although it's in River Valley, it's one of the youngest TOP project, right, in that location, that you can kind of use it as a benchmark. We're not saying that use this and then this is the pricing to go. So if you averagely, if you look at the per square foot, right, like let's say for even some of this 13th floor unit, right, for the 13th floor unit, okay, let me just blow this out a little bit. So 13th floor unit, their pricing is already close to 2 million and $3,000 per square foot. So for this kind, right, this kind of pricing, right, hey, you can get like at least 28th floor, right? 13th floor versus 28th floor, which one you want? 28th floor, of course, you get a smaller size 2-bedroom for almost the same price. So this is where you start comparing how does it make sense for me to move location. Should I pay that extra premium? Because without some of all this pricing, right, you don't know where are you going to benchmark. Am I right now? So if you're learning something so far, you can just comment in the bottom, learn. All right, let me show you another example. So this one is, of course, REVEAL. Okay, so REVEAL prices, even the transactions based on this, right? Their 1-bedroom was sold in 2022, 2023, was already an average about 1.75 million. If you can take a look, averagely the 1-bedroom. Okay, let's take a look at the high floor unit 35, 36. You can see 1.7 million, 1.7 million. The 31st floor, so averagely should be about 1.76, 1.77 million range. For this is a 1-bed. With the same price, I can get a 2-bed 1-bath in Skye, you know, and above the 30th floor for maybe about 1.75 million, which is slightly above $3,000 per square foot. All right, so that's why today, although Skye is like a harmonized project, which means technically, yeah, the PSF and the price should be higher. But today, you are able to actually purchase a low floor 2-bed 2-bath at just about 1.75. So there's a certain support that you must always compare with resale properties, you see, and that will help you to determine your pricing better, you see. So if I give you another example, like Grand Dunman. Okay, Grand Dunman, their 2-bed 1-bath already transacted on the 14th floor. Okay, maybe let me just show this. Yeah, on the 14th floor, right? It's already close to $3,000 per square foot at 1.95 million. for this kind of pricing, you can get high floor already. Alright, not easy. So of course you're saying, oh, Grand Lemon is a different location, etc., etc. But the question is, what is the value that you are getting into the property that you're purchasing? I think that is very important. Easy for you to kind of look at. You see, so even with this kind of pricing, you can even get a proper 2-bed 2-bath, because this is Grand Lemon, right? You can get CCR 667 square feet above at least 23rd floor for the same price. See, similar PSF. So that's why the key thing is that you must do comparison. And when we do all this research, because before we do the selection, we won't know the prices. But we use all this as a benchmark to guide us through to know if the pricing went up, let's say 2.2 million for Skye at Holland. Then we know that actually from a pricing perspective, it may not make sense. Not that you cannot purchase, but I will be at a more disadvantage because I'm setting a new record high. And does it make sense? I'm setting a new record price, and I don't want to do that. I always want to be in between or even lower if I can when we are doing comparison. That's why our properties, our clients' properties are very easily released out into the market when we want to sell and move forward, because of all this pre-preparation done beforehand. So this is something important. Then if you look at Ori and Toa Payoh, let me just blow this up so that you can see better. So for Ori, they are 2-bed 1-bath, 592 square feet. Take a look. 592 square feet for a 2-bedroom. It's already at 1.784 million. Okay, give and take, of course, it's 36th floor. All right. This one you can buy the at least a 2-bed 1-bath. This is 1-bed, correct? No, sorry, this is 2-bed. Yeah, the 2-bed 1-bath. So you can get the same 2-bed 1-bath in Skye at about the same price. All right, slightly crossing also $3,000 per square foot. So this becomes a benchmark that if Toa Payoh for the high floor units are already transacting at this price, today you are getting Skye at almost the same, and a younger property in a better location, that becomes your safety. Okay, and if you say you don't want to choose 2-bed 1-bath, you want to choose a better one, and for 2-bed 2-bath for Skye, you can also accept because it costs about 2.064 million. All right, so you pay more, but you get a proper 2-bed 2-bath configuration, 2.064. All right, because there are 2-bed 2-bath for Ori, right, has already transacted at what? Let me see, 6, 7, 8. How much? 2 million already. So with the same price, why is it that I won't go for Skye 2-bed 2-bath? So this why these are the things that we will do certain research, calculation, and data comparison to determine that. And more importantly is today, if let's say you are buying for investment, and the key thing is that you are always looking at how you can rent it next time. So renting is also one of our key criteria when we are looking at properties. It's not just about buying in. So we also stack like, today, if I'm able to rent out a certain unit, do I want to keep my overall cost high? If I can keep it lower and I can rent it higher, I think that will be also an advantage. So this is also another keynote that you want to take note when you're looking at properties. So this is something that you need to be aware of. So one of the key things that today, as I was sharing, like if today we are comparing the 2-bed for Skye as well as the 3-bed, which one will have a better advantage next time when we sell? So I'm going to give you another example. So this example is based on just now when we were talking about OHV, right? If you all can recall, we talking about OHV. Let's refer to this again. Okay, so the 2-bedroom, we are already aware that they have sold for 2.7 million for a 2-bed 2-bath patio. Then today, for the 3-bedroom, they are starting from about 2.39 plus million at about 2,600 plus per square foot. So the question is today at 40th floor, right? So when we are doing the research at 40th floor, it's only about 2.8 something million. And that is the price of a 2-bed premium block, okay, versus a OHV at 2.7 million back in 2022. So today, this is also another benchmark that we use, that we also use our 2-bed 2-bath patio since it's being transacted, right? How much should we go for to pay for an ideal high floor unit for a 3-bedroom, the small 3-bedroom. Okay, so the 915 square feet 3-bedroom, because they're starting at 2.394 million. So the 3-bedroom compact, in the comparison perspective, is still a safer option. The only thing that I have some thoughts about is the premium 3-bedroom. Okay, so let me share with you what are my thought process and why is it that we should benchmark this already, and from a pricing perspective, it doesn't seem very clear that it is an ideal choice. So what we did was we actually also did a comparison for a 3-bed for Holland Village. Was sold about 2.84 million, and these are all non-harmonized. Okay, so Skye, their 3-bedroom premium, right, for the 4th floor, starting about 2.865 million. Okay, the 12th floor is already at 3.008 million. Okay, so if you compare this back to the old price of OHV, right, you can determine that there is still a gap, all right, about 200,000, all right, or about 200,000. So if we calculate this based on today, Skye is 200,000 more expensive. Okay, it's 200,000 more expensive, so that the price gap is there. And because of the harmonized, we have to calculate based on today's pricing. It should be about 7.5% more, right? So if we talk about the harmonized, will be about 3 million in 2022, which means at the end of the day, if they want to sell, right, they will sell at 3.358 million. All right. So another key thing that you need to also understand is today, will a buyer in future think that should I be overpaying this extra 200,000? Okay, extra 200,000 more, because by then everybody will start comparing, right? And then when you start comparing and do the OHV selection and the pricing selection, then you need to ask yourself, today I no need to sell at, because this one we already pre-harmonized, right? But in terms of overall quantum, right, it's still at 3 million. So they will sell maybe about 3.2 million, let's say, in future. So when you are buying at 3 million, ultimately you will want to command more than 3.2 million in future. So then the future buyers will start to think today, okay, based on this extra 200 or even 300,000 differences, can I accept buying OHV? All right, which is typically, if you ask me from a layout perspective, is not extremely crazy lousy. All right, the livable space is still functional, although I have to be very transparent. The livable space will be a little bit tighter than Skye, definitely, because of it's not harmonized and they have the aircon latch and of course a bigger balcony space. All right, so but they have unlocked views. Okay, so there are certain trade-off. But at the end of the day, we have to start comparing and determine if that price point of the price gap of 200,000 today, does it make sense for the next 4 to 6 years? Because both properties are relatively also young. They are not like compare a 15-year property to a 2-year-old or 3-year-old property. And so from a layout perspective, you can see generally the layout for Skye are also very well designed. So that could also become an advantage. So in conclusion, if you ask me from a setup perspective for 2-bedroom, even the 3 compact or even the 3 premium, the 3 premium will lack a little bit in terms of the exit because the support is just not strong enough as per compare the rest. So if today you have purchased any of all these projects, I'm just giving my 2 cents worth to share with you how we actually do our research to benchmark certain prices, and why is it that there are some units at some price, sometimes we will just kind of walk away because when there's no support, there's no safety. When there's no safety, that means there will be a lot of question marks going into the future. All right, so this is something that I think is very important. So if some of you have listening in and you realize that, hey, this is really something that you want to kind of work into, all right, we want to also kind of give you to see how we can share the same experience with our clients and you. so that you can able to go into balloting or even any selection properties, whether it's a resale or a new launch, you kind of can guide yourself through using data, numbers, and research, and not just blindly going in. So to give you a quick overview, right? So these are some of the things that we do way before the ballot process. So the first stage is always putting your interest of the project that you like, and during that period, we will already start our discussion to map out what is your next 3 moves after this property, because this property likely is not only going to be your last property. So we're going to map this out, and then we're going to see like, okay, how can this property help you move forward? So that's why we go through quite a fair bit of pre-preparation to kind of anchor what you need to do during this entire process. And as I shared just now, we actually, during the selection process, there's a lot of work to be done this period. And that's why when we have our different screenshots that I show you here, that we actually map out the different, like even price range. If let's say you're looking at about 1.5 to 1.8 million, what are the type of properties you can look for? Then we can start immediately do a comparison, and because we have already done enough homework with you behind the scene, you will not be lost, you will not be confused in that kind of situation. All right, so yeah, so this is what we do usually during the ballot day flow as well as selection of units. So there will be a lot of computations that we do during that period, which you no need to worry, because we will guide you through how to make certain decisions. We will guide you how to expand your reach, what are the benchmark, what is the limit that you should set for yourself, and not just go overboard. All right, so we are kind of your devil's advocate, but you have to listen when we tell you, hey, I think this is a little bit crazy, this is a little bit too high, you may need to think twice. You have to take it with a pinch of salt or what we say. I mean, it's still up to you, but I think you're engaging us, you want us to help you, is really to be the person beside to tell you the truth, to show you openly, transparently, all the data, the numbers, what makes sense or what don't make sense. So I always share that a lot of times, I think we value add to our clients a lot is not only just on the selection, but it's really to dare to tell you, hey, this don't make sense anymore, let's move forward. Okay, so that is where our job comes in. So you're engaging us not only just to buy a property, it's also to help you not to buy a property. Okay, in that sense, right? So yeah, so this is what we do. And so of course, after selection and purchase or whichever, it's not the end of it. Our journey with you don't stop there. It's all the way throughout the entire of your property journey, whether you're using this as a stepping stone to the next property, or maybe even the next 2 to 3 property moves. So we will do quite a fair bit of our post follow-ups to help you. And generally, all our clients, we will review properties every 3 to, now cannot 3 years, but now it's 4 years, 4 years to 5 years. So I never encourage to kind of switch out your property too early, like, oh, seller stamp duty finish, I want to switch it out immediately. It may not be in tune with the market, and also the advantage of your property may not have reached its maximum capacity. So that's where we will do a review and determine, is there a need for us to continue to hold this property, or we can actually switch this out to something even of a higher value to continue growing your assets in terms of net asset value. So these are the things that we do behind the scene, not just about buying a property. Should I rent, or should I buy, or should I just sell? So there's a lot of discussions going on behind the scene. Yeah, so if you find that this is something that you really lack in terms of your selection process, and you like somebody to kind of handhold you all the way, well, so there are a few current launches that may be also in the pipeline, so you can actually scan the QR code and get in touch with us. So for some of them are rather tight, especially for Penrith and Faber. So if you are already kind of indecisive and you wanted to get a second opinion to kind of directly tell you yes or no, you can scan the QR code, and we'll be more than happy to kind of guide you through the process of whether a certain type of property you should be going for. And so yeah, because it's kind of a tight time and quite a rush, so I also hope that you all can make sure that you have time for us, so that we can actually guide you through the entire process. All right, so with that, I really appreciate you guys for joining me today. And like I said, a lot of times it's not about the selection, it's about what you need to do before the selections to have all the numbers in place, all the ratios done. You know what are the projects, what are the benchmark, what are the support gaps, to kind of give yourself the confidence of selection on the actual day. So if you like this video, just subscribe, like the video, and maybe share this with some other friends who are also looking out for somebody to help in terms of research, data, and numbers. All right, I see you guys when I see you. Cheers.